Zombieworm says, what do I have to sign in it?
Tell Zombieworm they created the English language, now speak it.
So is that it? Are we good? Is this the intro to the show?
Yeah, sure. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the Foolish Tech Show. Currently named the Happy Foolish Fun Hour, because we'll update that later. Anyway, we're here to assist with any questions or issues you may have with our software. So if we're needlessly bantering on, feel free to interrupt us. You can do that by jumping in our IRC chat over at foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live. You can also watch the live stream from there. So if you're joining us from YouTube, you can jump over that page, jump in our IRC chat. We got embedded ones, new window ones. You can put the info in your client, or if you just want to watch, you can check out the IRC chat up here. Zombieworm says, thank God Brantley took over. I hear that a lot. Anyway, how's it going? It's hump day, so we got half the week down, half the week to go. How are things out there for everyone? Shout out to PhilThex, PhoenixPCRepair, Tyler ComCorrect, Zombieworm, all in our IRC chat. Such one, I'm not sure if he's there or awake yet, but he's in the chat at least.
His name it's not like Szechuan chicken, okay? It's not pronounced the same way. You need to, I don't know how he wants his name pronounced, but maybe he could clarify that if he joins us again.
Yeah.
Szechuan chicken.
I know. I don't know what that is either, but I know what his name is. I'll ask him if I can just use that on the show.
Oh, well, that's a possibility, but you know, just a pronunciation of what he's typing there for his nickname, it would be helpful.
Zombieworm says he tried our Gmail SMTP. How did that go, Zombieworm? And awesome. Glad your week is going good, Phoenix.
And I do see what you wrote, Zombie, by the way. And yes, everything's all good now that Brantley's here.
I don't know how we're gonna put it on the show if these scheduled event things aren't gonna work.
Yeah. I mean, that's what. Let's discuss that for a moment. Maybe we can get some advice from you know, our crew out there. So what in effect, why can't you schedule them in advance? Why is that breaking?
They are scheduled in advance, and then when you click on it, they disappear from YouTube, and YouTube doesn't do it anymore.
Okay.
So like it has a list of scheduled events, but then once we start the event,
okay, how about this?
YouTube
What if I
just,
start the
blanks out?
What if let's say we use a dummy event like the Foolish Tech Fun Hour or whatever, or make up another dummy event, and then I select that first, and then I go back and select it the second time. Will that get around the problem?
I don't think it's the selecting the second time, because this live streaming thing just shoots out the stream. But the problem with doing that is we don't know what the URL is until the stream starts, so we can't update the page until the stream starts. So it's kind of a pain. And yeah, it is probably Michael losing the schedule down his pie hole. Thanks, Michael. So what we'll do
you
tomorrow...
think the pie hole, really? Is that a side effect of the pie hole?
No, I doubt it. I have it here. But anyway, what we'll try tomorrow is I'll see if I can start the show. Or no, we may have Proctor start the show since his bandwidth is better. And see if we have the same issues. That way we can narrow it down. If it's something with Michael's computer, he needs to reformat.
No, it's not. That's not the problem. And I have a good setup with XSplit or whatever it's called.
That is the problem. Format your computer.
It's been less than a month since I formatted my computer. It's been not even.
If it's been more than a week, you probably need to do it again, Michael.
Do I need to dispatch a
tolerate this
technician?
line of conference. I will not tolerate this. It The same thing is going to happen to Proctor tomorrow when we try to do this.
We'll see about that, but
Okay, I'll bet money on it. I'll bet money on it.
I got $1 if you got $1.
yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. Now, but again, we want the maximum upstream bandwidth. Will Proctor's be a better fit for that then? What do you got up?
I think mine was maxed out at
720p.
720p. I don't think I could do 1080.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well then, all right. Well,
if it works, then that may also be something else we have to get you to do. Is maybe the events have to be at 720p. Maybe they don't take 1080p. I haven't seen any documentation.
Well,
on
okay.
it,
So I don't understand. But then, how is it working right now?
because it's going through a live stream, and this is a beta thing with YouTube. Like, just starting a live stream anytime you want is a beta thing, but scheduling them isn't a beta thing. Who knows? YouTube is just as bad as Google on their products.
Yeah, you think.
I doubt people that even work there actually know, so contacting support is probably not going to help either.
All right. Well, at least we
But
can
didn't we do 1 or 2 shows without this problem in 1080p?
Not in 1080p, not with Michael doing it. Every time Michael's doing it, it breaks.
Okay.
Except on the test one that I did, it worked fine with me and him. But that's, of course, because it was a test, not an actual live demo.
Yeah.
Zombie Worm wants to know if we can schedule a repair on your PC, and we need to, but...
Is it? Oh, wait a second.
You should probably underclock, man. I'm telling you, you're either running too hot or too cold, or your water's leaking.
I told you I fixed the bubbling problem. There's no more bubbles coming out of my computer when I put in the soap. All right, so what if it's an issue? You're right with the beta, what if it's Google Beta Hangout thing? How do I switch?
What? We don't have that. We're on the regular one right now. Beta Hangouts aren't for Hangouts on air.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so that's not the issue.
Nope. I'm pretty sure it all narrows down to you're the issue.
I'm pretty sure Proctor will have the exact same problem, but remember, you have to reproduce the steps. Okay, that means there needs to be a scheduled show already in there, and then Proctor needs to pick that.
Which you will do.
Okay, but don't set up I just created a on-the-fly thing right for this test and have it work, because then it's going to work just like it worked for me and you.
Yeah, well, we're not. We're going to have Proctor do the show, and if it works fine, then we'll be able to rag on you for a little while.
That's fine. That's acceptable because it's based on reality and fact. Okay, I just don't want blind. I don't enjoy being a piss pot for everybody. Okay, all the time. I mean, it's fun every now and then, but please.
It's starting to overflow.
Yes, it needs to be emptied. Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, yeah, Zombie Worm, it is because Michael got that newer funky edition hardware, which isn't even going to be supported in Windows 7 anymore. Did y'all hear about that?
Yes, I did, and I'm really unclear how Microsoft, first of all, considering their verbiage is a little bit odd in it, which is usually the case when they're trying new things out, how would they enforce it? And all that it really means is that they're not guaranteeing that the older operating system will support the additional features, but just like they can't claim that it supports, trusted platform execution or secure boot or those other types of things in older operating systems. So if they're going to advertise those new features, yeah, they have to say that it requires Windows 10, okay? Because it was the first platform to support some of those things. And they're also talking about driver updates, but it's not it's up to the driver. I mean, the existing state is that the whether or not somebody wants to produce drivers for the old, Intel or anybody else for the old hardware, it just makes it easier on the hardware manufacturers. They can just fucking give up on Windows 7. They don't have to write drivers now any longer. So this is a bullshit move by Microsoft, but it's ultimately up to the hardware manufacturers whether or not they choose to take that free lunch pass and stop development completely, or if they actually respect their users who still are on Windows 10, 7 or whatever, and they will develop then a driver for it, and then there's no issue. Then the point that Microsoft is making is moot. So I don't see why this whole thing. I mean, it's a bad push. It's a bad precedent. I think that Microsoft is setting to expire hardware. Well, where the fuck they're a software manufacturer? How do they get to determine when hardware expires? They're setting a bad precedent, but because it's unenforceable, I think largely, and it's largely up to the hardware manufacturers themselves, I don't really consider this to be too big of an issue.
All right, so you repeated that 3 times, so we're fine with that now.
I think the installed base of Windows 7 will be who makes the decision. I think they're going to demand the support for it.
Yeah. Well, I think it sounded like it was just Microsoft's not going to do any drivers, and again, like Michael was saying, it'll be up to the hardware manufacturers to determine if they want to release drivers or not for it.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Well, I would rather have a driver. Yeah. I'd rather have a driver written by the hardware manufacturer as opposed to Microsoft in the first place.
Yeah,
that's
just
very
like
true.
The castrated driver that Microsoft provides me for, so AMD won't provide a driver for the 4000 series Radeon HDs, right? And so Microsoft does. Okay, but it doesn't enable any of the additional functionality of the card. Basically, you get desktop, and that's it.
Right.
Support. You can change resolutions, and that's it. You don't get if you had an SLI, you don't get Crossfire. You don't get Crossfire support. You don't get any of the additional support for like OpenCL or general compute stuff. You basically just get base support. Now, that's bullshit, and this is a case where AMD just gave up on that. They're too lazy. They don't want to write a driver, and they left it up to Microsoft. And Microsoft, polished some old piece of crap code that they got from AMD from some time ago and sticks it up on, for a Windows 10 driver. That's because Microsoft is horrible. That the driver that exists up there. Microsoft should have realized that there was a user base and take care of them. And even if AMD didn't want to do it, they should have written a slightly more capable driver. But the problem with it is I can force, for instance, some Windows 8 drivers onto Windows 10 for the card and get some of that functionality back. But basically what happens in Windows 10 in its infinite wisdom will just update my driver to the one Microsoft provides, and thereby breaking it all over again. So it's really a horrible situation, and again, it's a horrible precedent that Microsoft is continuing trying to dictate hardware support.
Let's talk about what Zombie Worm posted, because that's pretty interesting.
You can, Michael, you can disable those automatic driver updates. I actually ran across a policy setting to do that on Windows 10 the other day. I'll have to dig up the link later.
Okay, that may be a solution, but again, it should not be that hard to have a, basically, and here's the main argument, NVIDIA
wait.
has support for the same
Later,
thing.
Zombie Worm.
Zombie.
We'll see you later. Sleep well.
Zombie going? Is he leaving us?
Yeah.
Yeah, take care, Zombie.
So, yeah, there's actually a lot of group policy settings in Windows for Windows updates. So if you haven't checked those out, it's actually worthwhile going in there and checking them out. If you're not on a domain already, you can just use the local security policies. Same thing as group policies for domains. But yeah, if you go into the local security policy, see, Michael, that just brought up a web page on.
Yeah, I know, because I opened it up in another tab, and that makes sense. It's in the same window. So
I was just going to throw out there, Brantley, also that the D7.2 Windows Update policy setting for automatic updates through its little interface there, those policies actually still work in Windows 10. Mine is preventing my system from rebooting. So I haven't dug into it any more than what I've done with Windows with D7.2.
So yeah, with Windows 10, the D7.2 update policy options still working and going well. So
it's still working. There's a lot more that aren't in there yet, but still working for what's there.
Yep. Past those, though, you can look at the actual group policies. Yeah, I can actually tell you where those will be if you want to give me a second here. So if you go into the regular control panel, not the new control panel, and then you go into administrative tools, local security policy. This is if you're not on a domain. You can then go into, where would they hide it here? Hold on a second.
Oh, that's an interesting link that Zombie posted regarding the microbit. And that's what flashed up. Yeah, the only problem with it is, looks like it's limited in the it's like a little board with LEDs on it, basically. And it's wonderful that it has computing resources that kids can program using maybe a very simple language or interface of some sort. But you know, to what extent they'll be able to display patterns on these LEDs to do anything terribly useful is, you know, it's questionable. But, you know, if they wanted to make something that counts from 0 to 9 or something like that, But
that was an interesting board. I was more interested by the fact that BBC is releasing it.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's a little weird, but and there's an Android app for it.
Sorry, I was wrong. It's not the local security policies, although that does have some interesting stuff in it if you want to check that out. If you go into gpedit.msc, just type that in at the run box, and this actually works, I believe, on all versions of Windows XP+. Then you'll go into computer configuration, administrative.
Not in home editions.
Oh, not in home editions. Computer configuration, administrative templates, Windows components, and then Windows Update. And then you have quite a few. Here, we'll just share my screen and show those off here.
Yeah, please.
So that'll probably be really tiny and small, but you got a few things in here that you can configure and update. I do know that some of these are going to require you to like adjust other ones, and they kind of give you a lot of detail there, so you can see all this detail that they give you with those. But those basically are what Windows uses to manage itself. So tons of other policies. If you haven't ever looked into group policies, highly recommend it. Definitely worthwhile time.
Absolutely.
Easy to break your computer though, so be careful. It's almost like just playing in the registry.
Well, it effectively is playing in the registry, but I don't know. There's a lot to it, and you know, it pretty much provides the basis for you know, what things like CryptoPrevent does. You know. So.
On that same note of what Zombie Worm posted, I heard about something else interesting today. This Ocean. Ocean is a mobile server device that combines portability of a mobile phone with the flexibility of a Linux web server. It has an integrated battery, remote management, wireless charging, Bluetooth, and low power CPU. It's extremely compact looking. You can control it from your iPhone or Android. And I mean, basically it's just like having a Linux server that's portable. So like with the Raspberry Pi, that's an awesome Linux server that's fairly portable, but you still have to have a power supply to go along with it. Granted, you can use things like a external battery pack or something, but that's then 2 devices that you have to keep together somehow, and I guess you could just duct tape them together, that'd be fine, but this puts it all into a nice little tiny package. I was reading, I think that the battery can go for up to 2 days off a single charge and usage, so that's pretty sweet.
It's a dual-core Cortex A7 1 gigahertz with a gigabyte of DDR3. 8 gig SD. And
it has USB 3 on it?
/ it does have USB 3 on it, yeah. Protocol Debian Jessie as the OS with the 3.4 Linux.
$150 for 16 gig data storage, and it starts shipping next month. Their 32 gig and 64 gig go for $179 and $199. But those won't start shipping until April.
Okay, so the wireless connectivity is a little bit limited. It looks like the Wi-Fi. It looks like a 1X, and only up to N. And I would wonder if that's not sufficient for a web server with heavy traffic.
Well, I mean, you're not going to be using it as a mobile web server. This is like something you put in your pocket and you take with you. So like something I could have sitting beside me with my laptop. I don't even have to take it out of my bag. I could just leave it running all the time. If I'm stopping somewhere doing something, I can pull out my laptop, start working away on what I was working on. So it's like having a mobile server that you don't have to worry about. Like, say if I couldn't get to my home network while I was out and about, then I have this device here that could emulate the server side of things for me. Like, I don't see a lot of practical application use for it. Like, I'm not going to run a web server off of it. That's not what it's designed for, really. But it does have USB 3, so I don't see why you couldn't put in an AC dual band card.
This is true. Yeah, that's true. That would... it's an interesting product. I just want to know what are you suggesting would be the best use cases for it, or what are they suggesting?
Well, that's what I'm looking. What the frequently asked questions right now.
Okay. I'm looking as well, but it's just not completely clear to me.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of options for it. They don't have a lot of reasons behind why they did it. But it is cool, and it's a fairly cheap price if you have a need for having a portable server. Like, I mean, like I said, I think the most reasonable reason for it is having a headless server that you have in your bag while you're working away on other stuff.
A few years ago, a lot of real estate agents that I knew wanted a small web server, something like this, so that when they go into a house to show it, you can, whether or not you have Wi-Fi or, which you're showing a house, you probably don't even have electricity on in the house. So that someone could use their phone or tablet or whatever and connect to the web server that's in the house and be able to get information. Or even if you're just driving, more if you're driving by a house, you don't have an appointment with the real estate broker. The house is locked. You could just drive by the house, connect to their web server, and see the inside of the house, what it costs, and things like that, without actually having to contact anybody.
That's actually a great point. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Anyway, that's a pretty interesting product there. So that's pretty cool. Something else PhilThex brought up was this, which we were thinking we had heard about it before, but might not, but no reason not to bring it back up. TeslaCrypt encryption, the ransomware. You can, hold on. You can decrypt the files because of a flaw that is in TeslaCrypt. I posted the link there. I haven't actually checked into the stuff here, so let me see if we have anything. Looks like they got a Tesla decoder, so you can just decrypt your files with that in there. I don't think that was in there when we looked at it last time. So if you have the TeslaCrypt malware or ransomware, or you have some files locked that you really need back from that, you can get those from that link we just posted, the decryptor, and be able to decrypt it. So pretty cool, pretty nice there. Nice of them that they have that option. All right, and another one. Looks like New York is giving away Gigabit Wi-Fi. So if you're in New York and you want to use Wi-Fi, you can be standing on the corner of 15th and 3rd Avenue, and you'll get a Gigabit wireless hotspot from LinkNYC.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's safe, right?
Download speeds of 280 megabits per second, upload speeds of 317 megabits per second.
That's pretty reasonably fast.
That's pretty extremely fast.
Yeah, yeah.
That's faster than all of us have at home, even with your updated stuff.
Very true.
PhoenixPCRepair says, "Hey Nick, how is D7X coming along?" And PhoenixPCRepair, if you didn't hear, we actually got the KillEmAll beta release out, which is the first component of D7X. So if you want to go ahead and try that out and test it out, I will get you a link here. We did have a show about it on Monday, so if you want to check out demoing out some of the features and all the stuff it can do, check out that show from Monday. That has it all there.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the link for D7X download of KillEmAll, the first module there. And it is working pretty sweet. There are a couple known issues that are noted on the site there. So just keep those in mind, but nothing that's going to completely break your computer or anything of that nature while you're using it. You just might see some different things on Windows 10 and a couple other small minor things, but nothing really big, that's for sure. Michael, you want to take over real quick?
Yeah, sure. So KillEmAll, yeah, please take a look at it and let us know what you think, Phoenix, if you have some time. We will be obviously making improvements, but if you guys can make us aware of any, anything we may have missed during testing, but we did do some pretty extensive testing with it, so it's pretty solid. And it's gonna be basically, that's the first piece of D7X. It's encompassing, it's going to eventually be, KillEmAll is going to contain parts of the uninstaller and other D7X technologies as well, even some potentially crypto prevent technologies as well, and those features will come out with the, once the paid version is available, but they will always, all those features will be included for existing D7.2, and customers, anybody with an active subscription to us will, get those features. But it's not integrated right now. If you wanted to integrate it into D7.2, you would need to create a custom app for it, but that's doable as well. So it can obviously be integrated into your existing system, but just know that it's not the final full featured set that it's, and that you'll know by running the program. It'll explain all that to you.
Yeah, so yeah, that is one of the big things I wanted to mention. If you do want to use the beta, first I highly recommend testing it out, playing around with it, working with it a little bit, get yourself familiar with it, because it is very different than the KillEmAll that's integrated with D7.2. But if you feel comfortable with it, you like how it works, you do want to test it out with D7.2, you will have to do a custom app for it. Fairly simple one. You just put it in your third-party tools and then set it to run. Not really much to change or add or finagle with there. But if you do that, you don't want to use any of the internal KillEmAll functions. So say if you wanted to have the same thing that happens with the malware removal, you would want to have it so that it kills everything automatically, which is one of the options. You can set it to enable kill all as it first opens, but you will have to close out of it in between each one. So kind of keep that in mind. Really, the D72 KillEmAll functionality has more than enough capabilities for that side of things. So I would probably say if you wanted to just add it at the beginning, you can run it first and then run the malware removal routine and have the old KillEmAll try to kill processes in the background. That works more than fine, I feel. I would kind of use it more as the first check on what it's killing everything in the background at first, and then let the integrated D72 KillEmAll kill stuff automatically in between things if you wanted to go that route. So yeah, it's definitely awesome. Phoenix, definitely recommend checking out the Monday show. I'll see if I can get you a link to that Monday show actually too. So otherwise, we have anything else go over, talk about? Michael, you got your SDR in yet?
It's supposed to be delivered today, although I do not have it in my hands. I'll walk to the front door to see if it's waiting for me, but I doubt it. But I'm looking forward to jumping into that immediately and seeing how much better it is compared to yours. No, I do not see it just yet. Hopefully it'll come soon. What else? I ordered my gamepad, the one that we were talking about and discussing the other day. I just broke down. It was a little bit more expensive.
Oh, you got the Nintendo one?
Yeah, the one with, it's slightly more modern, but it's the wireless one by the 8-bit do people, or 8-bit do. I think that's what they're called, or
8-bit do. NES 30 Pro wireless Bluetooth controller.
Yep. Do you have a link for that?
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So the one thing I wasn't sure about was if it came with a Bluetooth dongle, but I ordered one anyway, just in case.
I didn't see. I don't know. So let us know. I'm interested to see how that works, because that would be pretty awesome to have. That's a pretty sweet controller.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Xbox ones, but I'm not sure how they do with the wireless side for the Raspberry Pi, so I'm also interested in how your Bluetooth experiments work out on that.
Yeah,
I know Linux and Bluetooth are not the most fun things to do.
Well, I specifically got a Raspberry Pi compatible Bluetooth adapter, so hopefully that will minimize my...
That's fine that it's compatible. I'm talking about the actual using Bluetooth and pairing devices and keeping them paired while you're working with Linux.
Okay. Well, let's see how that plays out. Obviously, I will report back on this, but I just wanted to go over some of the reasons why I chose this, and it were two critical ones that really narrowed down the field here. And that one, it had to be wireless because I'm way too far away from my TV to make for an enjoyable experience there with the Pi. And it had to be rechargeable. I'm sick and tired of batteries. I love my Xbox 360 controller, wireless controller. However, the batteries and the bulk of it is just too annoying for me. So hopefully this will fix that. It's reasonably priced, I think. Little bit expensive from Amazon, but if it works the way it's supposed to, and it's got good reviews, so I'm hoping for the best.
If you want the Xbox 360, or if you want the Xbox controller that's wireless, they run about $30–50 themselves. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I already have them, so I don't really. I need the wireless adapter or whatever. But then, I wonder if that's unless that becomes an issue. Like if the Bluetooth pairing is unreliable in Raspbian, then you know, the Xbox wireless adapter, that's all that Xbox wireless adapter does. So there's no pairing process, or there shouldn't be any pairing process. They should just work, assuming that device gets power from, you know.
And my Bluetooth issues are coming back from like when I first got this EPC, so back in like 2010.
Okay, well that was
just an aggravation and
back
big
in
headache.
Bluetooth 2.0 days or whatever. I don't know. 1.0 days. I don't know. But yeah, Bluetooth isn't as far as peripheral hasn't really exploded until smartphones.
Bluetooth's been out since like the 90s.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's look that up. That's good to think about. Bluetooth. 1994. Yeah. Wow. So, what version? In 2010, you had bad experiences? Yeah, that's a little late. In the
So I mean, yeah, that's
Oh, actually, so Bluetooth 2 EDR came out in 2004. 2.1 came out in 2007. So
Bluetooth 4 came out in 2011, 2012, 2013. It's had a couple of amendments to it.
And it's been technically adopted by them since 2010, but yeah, it was very new. So maybe it was the Bluetooth 4 early. Maybe that was it. Maybe.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I got things to pair with it. I was able to work with it. It was just a hassle and pain, as I remember. So.
That's not what I wanted to hear, but I'll let you know. I'm hoping for a good experience, and I gotta believe that since there were some people, RetroPie people, I believe, or retro gaming people out there, I'm sure I would have seen something that would have indicated that this is incompatible or not, and I didn't find that. So it's gonna be a good experience in my opinion.
That's good. Yeah, keep your hopes up. So what else we got out there? PhilTech said, sorry off topic, he's on IRC, but he said, Proctor, do you have any idea about, and showed off a PC repair tracker forum topic link. So let's pull that up and check out what he's talking about.
Oh, you have to log in to see it.
Oh, do any of us have logins for that?
I don't remember. Let's see.
So we're checking that out. Oh yeah, I forgot. I should have started off the show with this, but we, and by we I mean Nick, Johnny, and I joined in on the Geeksters IRC last night. Geeksters had their 174th show, I believe it was, last night, and pretty good episode, pretty interesting things to talk about, but they gave a lot of shout outs for D7, so definitely want to shout out to Geeksters. Here I'll post their link as well, because it was a pretty good show. And Martin Obando and Mitch. Johnny, are you there? What's Mitchell's last name? I don't know what Mitch's last name is, but Martin and
Heyman.
Mitch. Yeah, say again.
Heyman.
So Mitch Heyman and Martin Obando on the Geeksters was a pretty fun time. We actually had Martin confused at the beginning there because he was still in our IRC chat, and I was talking to him, and I was like, do y'all have a chat for your show? And he was like, you're in it. And I was like, what? Our chat is your chat? Awesome! And then he realized that, no, he was not in the right chat himself. So he had to go to the chat for his show, which that is on irc.freenode.com and pound capital podnuts, PODNUTZ. And we talked and bantered in there for a while. It was a pretty good time, definitely enjoyable. Actually, it was episode 176. Sorry about that. But I will paste the link here for you to check that show out. And I'll also paste their live show link where you can also join in their chat and see some of the details about that as well. So that is Geeksters episode 136, and it was a fun time. We had a lot of fun in there, talking in their chat and talking with those guys. They're awesome people, so highly recommend checking them out if you haven't done so already. Definitely a worthwhile show and good topics and interesting information. So. And Obando was like, said something to me, but he was like, I'm on the other side of the mic, so there's nothing he can do about it. But now the tables have turned. Ha 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 ha. But I don't have anything to say because he's not here, so it's all right. It's all right.
Brantley, I don't have a login for the PC repair tracker for him.
Okay. Are you able to create one and log in, maybe?
No, you have to have a product key, and we don't have a product key. We just have the software. Pretty sure.
Do you want to type that in on the chat here?
The server, the Exchange server. I hate Exchange servers sometimes, but I've had to do some crazy rebuilds of them, and it's a mess. I don't think I did anything with Exchange server until the one day some businesses Exchange server exploded, and then it was like trial by fire. But it actually 12 hours into it, I had the server rebuilt and they were back up and running. That was a long time ago, well before 2010.
Hold on, Phoenix, I'm reading it. I might have some offers or something. Wow. So PhoenixPCRepair was trying to set up a list of alias emails for a separate website domain, and then use that on their Exchange 2010 server. And he said he got so fed up with it, he was about to destroy it like they did in the fax machine printer in Office Space. So we all fondly remember that movie. But yeah, I actually haven't worked with aliases in Exchange 2010. I did a little bit on the Exchange 2010 itself server setup, but not much past that basic end user setup, and kind of went along with the Windows server stuff, like the, what was that server version? Is it Home Premium server? Or not Home Premium, but like small business server, yeah. So small business server has Exchange built into it, and used it for that, and it kind of worked a little bit well, but I didn't get much past that on the Exchange part, past just making sure it was working and seeing what other options and features I had. I will be able to tell you, though, that we have a list of alias domains set up on our Google Apps account, and it was not that hard. Nick set most of it up, so he has most of the details on that, but it's working perfectly, and I want to say we just had to add the domain in like a catch-all, so So, oh, well, PhoenixPC got it working in the end, so that's good. Awesome job, Phoenix. We believed in you. And they were working with 2011 small business server, so yeah, that's the one that integrates Exchange and some other things all into it all at once. And it's nice, but it can be a pain. Definitely if you start getting into more people, it gets to be a much larger pain. I think on the licensing is where I found the biggest issues with that one. So. Phoenix, if you have any helpful links that had your aha moment, go ahead and paste them in there. I'm sure some other people will be interested in checking out that info or just having it documented somewhere that, hey, this is what you finally got to get it to work. He said in 2013 he's read online it's much easier to set up alias domains. Good thing they expanded on it, so that's good. Oh, and Michael, you found a link that someone actually set up that Nintendo with?
Yeah, the pairing process isn't as smooth, but once it's paired, there's no problems apparently. So you do have some validity to what you were saying, but it doesn't appear to be that big of a deal.
That's good.
You gotta pair it and then like push some buttons or something. I don't know, but it's, yeah, I know how it's done.
Well, best of luck with that.
So B, I didn't even tell you, but I wanted to tell the world. Michael last night talked me into doing a show on Monday. Maybe you can tell him a little bit about it, Michael, because I have all this background road noise.
You actually sound pretty fine. It's just a little echoey on your, or just kind of a little hollow on your voice. But I mean, it sounds fine, honestly, for mobile.
Oh.
Well,
Wow.
I think maybe it's something we want to discuss with Brantley a little bit. He had some input onto some of the things I was discussing with him earlier today. You're talking about related to Windows API stuff?
I'm talking about what you thought was security in 64-bit code and stuff like that. And the more that we have these conversations, the more you want to switch to Linux.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, it is a scary conversation, but one of the big security improvements it was often touted with 64-bit is address space randomization, and Nick discovered an extremely straightforward way to.
Well, no, it's not extremely straightforward. And I barely got it working. But my biggest
well,
problem
it's doable. The point is it's doable at all.
Well, it's way more doable if you're a 64-bit programmer, but I'm a 32-bit programmer, so I have to go through not only converting to 64-bit code and data types, but I also have to go through the WoW64 layer emulation on 64-bit systems, which carries a lot of different data structures, I'm finding out. But the basic techniques are still relevant, and I'm going to talk about some of that on Monday.
Excellent.
And some other secure-related code kind of things that make Michael want to switch to Linux.
I was wowed though by what's involved in the process and the fact that it's even accessible. And yeah, maybe it's a little bit more complicated because of what you're trying to do, but just how you're overcoming those things. I think everybody would love to hear the specifics of that and why you.
I think really all you need to carry away from it right now. I think really all you need to carry away from it right now until the next show is basically that it doesn't really matter how much security or how many layers and frameworks they throw on top of it. there's still a core set of Windows APIs that are still being used, and they're even depreciating more popular stuff. There's always that underlying set of NT APIs, and there's always a way to access and use them, no matter what privilege you have as a process or any of that nature. The stuff that I'm doing right now, I should not be able to do from user mode, but I can.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be able to do it at all, according to Michael. But I'm doing it, not only doing it, but doing it from user mode, which doesn't require admin rights.
Yeah, I'm very upset by that because it basically destroys everybody's argument about address-based randomization, and at least under the Windows platform. I'm not saying that, you know, that's not still a valid thing for other platforms if it's implemented correctly, but you can basically find out where any process is in memory, and by doing that, you can alter it and inject something into it.
And I'll go over some more of the fuzzy specifics on Monday. I just wanted to mention it, and also that some of the topics are also going to cover random code found on Russian and Chinese websites and malicious software developing and stuff like that. So look forward to it.
Well, and in response to Phoenix, who said about the zero-day flaw in Linux, the beauty, though, of Linux is that there's no undocumented APIs underneath, like what John is referring to in Windows, and so you know, whether or not they're
that's actually what I was telling Michael. Kind of scares me even more.
Yeah. But we don't know what Microsoft is giving the NSA with those APIs.
Well, see, most of this functionality that Microsoft has implemented in the kernel is really available to antivirus vendors who are big enough and wealthy enough to pay the fee every year to continue to have access to that information. But, you know, that's not us, and we mentioned that on another show. But basically, yeah, this is what I'm digging into.
Yeah, that's definitely
a good show topic.
It's definitely enough to fill up the whole entire show as well, and I'm highly looking forward to that, and I think the rest of our crew out there will. It shows off, and it not only your skill with the Windows API, but it exposes a very big security flaw, and it just, yeah, you got to wonder where the security vendors stand in this situation, and what, you know, ulterior motives Microsoft might be doing with the API, all sorts of other things. But because we don't have documentation of that, and we can't see the code, we oftentimes don't know, and it can often be years, or if ever, if all of these APIs are fully exposed. John's obviously aware of many of them, but there's many more that he's not, and that alone just makes it there's no auditing. You know, you can't audit your security in a situation like that, and that's a terrible flaw. There might be a zero-day flaw in Linux kernel, but I can go in and rewrite it if I want to and fix it that same day as well. Phoenix.
Yeah.
I was even going to say a couple of these APIs aren't even known by a name because they don't have one. So I don't know, Michael and Brantley, if you're familiar with the ordinal value or something, or whatever it's called, is the basically it's the number of the function inside the DLL that occurs continuously, function. So it's like the number of the function, and I'm working with, like, instead of a name like NT query information API or whatever, it's like number 473, you know, and so you don't even know what it really does. I mean, other than the fact that you found some documentation here and there, which you can't find anymore. But,
yeah.
They can't even guess it because there's not even a name for it, you know, or what it does. It's kind of crazy.
That'll definitely be a good show topic, and we'll definitely have a lot more to talk about it on there. I also wanted to say, for the Linux kernel stuff, the other great thing about it, since it can be updated by anyone and easily repaired, you're normally going to get your updates to fix those zero-day flaws a lot faster. Like, there's flaws in Windows that have been documented for decades, and they're still there, and nothing has been done about them. So, like, when you're waiting on one company to release the update, you're basically in their hands as far as what happens. But with Linux, you have several different distributions, several thousands of coders out there, all just wanting to make it a better product. So we did.
Yes, but all of the different distributions and all of the different coders with all of the different solutions, before they all get forked into the main branch of the particular distribution that you're using, you're still at the mercy of time, unless you are a coded-minded individual that dive in yourself, or seek out someone else's pre-coded solution and carefully integrate it into your specific distribution and environment.
Yeah.
However you do that. So,
but I mean, what I was saying is you're more likely to get a update versus Microsoft, which, like Phoenix pointed out, that KonBoot flaw is still in the Windows login process. So, like with that KonBoot that NetHunter pointed out to us last year, basically, it's a bootable CD. You boot in.
No, I've heard of it, but
it boots you in, and you can basically at the login screen get a full admin access with little to no work. So like if you're locked out of a Windows system and you can't get in, KonBoot will get you in easily.
Right. It sounds a lot like D7's Locksmith, but
yeah, no, you mentioned it was,
but same concept. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you mentioned it was that, but this one I think it actually launches a command prompt, an administrative command prompt before the login screen is even unlocked.
Well, I could do that, Brantley, but there's no reason to when my code just go ahead and logs you in.
Yeah, Phoenix actually says that it patches the DLL that tells Windows which password is correct.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
Different approach than what I do. What I do is the same. I can launch an admin command prompt from the login screen, no problem. It's a matter of, and even forget administrator, I can do it from the system account and give that to you. But there's really not much of a point with the way it just logs you on in anyway. So, by removing the password, which is what you would be doing. I'm not patching a DLL or anything to invalidate a password login check or whatever, but
yeah. It's a very, very nice tool. If anyone hasn't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Here, I'll grab you a link for it actually as well and paste it in chat here. I bought a copy of it and I actually have used it in testing and it works still on Windows 10, so that is kind of the issue there. And he also pointed out another program that does the same thing.
But I mean, there's always going to be a way to replace the operating system components with and do whatever you want to when you have physical access to boot to it with your own environment. It's always the case. So,
but
I don't think that's particularly a massive security flaw.
Since we've talked about Windows and Linux too, I do want to point out that KonBoot also has a Mac OS X version, so it's not like Apple is pristine in this nature either. So
nice.
Security flaws abound.
And that's Unix-based, Apple. So
yeah.
Hey, and you know what? Another thing I was going to talk about in my show, and I'm not going to give too much of it away, but I'll go ahead and say, as long as we're talking about operating systems, ReactOS is an NT-based operating system, open source, 100% written from scratch, to mimic the NT kernel and API so that Windows programs will run on it without modification, even legacy apps and new apps too. So, and that's the goal of open source development, which has actually made a lot of progress in the last few years I didn't realize, but I'll go ahead and give the bit away. I was going to talk about Monday. That's actually where I've gotten a lot of my information on the data structures tab, the process environment block, which I need to do some of the stuff that I'm doing. I won't say more. But the developers there basically reconstructing the NT API from scratch by how they can dissect what's going on there. I've learned a lot from their code. So.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk more about it.
Yes, there's an open source Windows, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's talk more about it on Monday. We're past our hour block here, and don't want to take up all your Monday show, so we'll talk more about that one and a lot of the other stuff that Nick talked about on Monday. Tomorrow we'll probably be doing our defunk overview and get really in depth in that. So Zombie Worm, I think you were the one that really wanted that. I know you're watching later tonight, but we'll be doing that one tomorrow. So join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll be here and ready to answer any other questions you may have about our software or support, and we'll be happy to help. Otherwise, Michael's headset died, so hopefully he can hear me and say he can go ahead and stop the broadcast. But we will see y'all on tomorrow. Thanks everyone for joining us. PhoenixPCRepair, always a pleasure. Tyler, comp correct, Zombie Worm.